Yeah, uyabuza lapho ukuthi sisebenzisa luhlobo lwe-devolution. If you want to respond, you want to respond after Dr. Dube? Yeah, he's saying that he will respond after Dr. Dube will touch on that a bit, so perhaps then we can take it up if he doesn't address that question, or is he still have points of clarity from his presentation. Ungathatha ithuba leli ukhulume nabantu. So do it on the other few minutes, then from there let's see.
Thank you very much to the organizers of this Indaba. I want to thank you for the opportunity to discuss aspects related to devolution, particularly with the focus on revenue sharing models. Ngicela ukuthi ngizochasisa ukuthi what sort of models would work in the disbursement of revenues and also in aspects related to our own resources. Kodwa ngenxa ukuthi I've been here for some time and listening to perspectives from the other speaker and questions that have arisen, I will talk to some issues that came up. Now, there's something that I want to explain kancane. Ukuthi devolution itself exists on a spectrum. It exists on a spectrum where we are attempting to include people in the governance of societies in which they live in. Nxa sikwenza lokho sisithi thina kuqala mhlawumbe ngento ezinjenge delegation of power to decentralization of power to devolution and kujayele ucina ngefederalism where abantu sebele almost full power endaweni zabo ezizodwa kodwa be realize ukuthi they are inclusive. This is what happens in societies such as the United States of America. Now, thina si engla ikakhulu for devolution. Kodwa devolution yethu kakhulu sesikhulume from a power perspective. It is usually discussed from the political side. Who has got power to do this, who has got power to do that. Kodwa kumele sinanzelele ukuthi devolution today we no longer discuss it only from politics. We also discuss it from economics, where we have to discuss the fiscal devolution. Ukutaxwa kwabantu kwenzwa njani? How do we tax the people and what levels of taxation make sense and what do we do with the revenue that has been collected? So you realize that if you start to consider a step further other than just the political side of devolution, there are numerous things which I always felt we are really not yet ready for when it comes particularly to taxation, particularly to the utilization of resources. But that's a debate for another day. Namhlanje ngifuna ukukhuluma ikakhulu ngama revenue sharing models that exist. One thing that we have to realize is we cannot, devolution isivele isikhona because it is enshrined in our constitution. We already have the parameters from the political perspective on how to do it. What is being done is debating if at all that is functional, but it's a bit of a strange debate given which it's in a constitution that was in 2013. So mina ngizakhuluma ngathesi ngokuthi umthuli use10 for the slides. Okay. So I was just saying what has happened. So our constitution requires that 5% of the GDP is sent to the provincial councils. Nizwe is a lawyer. Oh, ekhuluma ngama local authorities and so on. Now I'm not a lawyer, but I think last I checked, the essence is really on provincial councils themselves. Provincial councils which then control the particular provinces that we have. This is where the money is supposed to be going to. So, kuthiwe kuhambe 5% of GDP. And ngulonyaka umthuli ucommitted 310 million, I think now it's RTGS dollars, to the ideals of devolution. And this was notably almost a percentage less than what is required in the Constitution, which is about 3.7%. Then, now when I have this money, how am I going to distribute it? Because the money is already there, but the honest truth is most of us do not really know what to do with it when it comes, because we do not have the necessary formulas to share it. So Mthuli then, without, I don't know, maybe consulting other people, but without a participatory approach, came up with a revenue sharing formula which is based on the population profile of a province, the poverty profile of a province, and the infrastructure quality and deficit of a province. Now, you will notice that this formula itself does not really explain what it means by poverty. Poverty is a very complex term. Complex in the sense that we are talking of aspects such as relative poverty, absolute poverty. When it comes to infrastructure, what does it mean? Which sort of infrastructure? It does not explain which capital assets you are talking about. Kulma infrastructure as Golo, as Bedlela, Enyamazana in. It was not very, very clear, but this is the formula that we are working with. Now, in discussing this formula, I want to highlight from an academic perspective the common principles as corn. Nxa sizama ukulandela izindlela zokwabelana imali estate. There is the notion that money from a province should be used and collected within that province. I don't think that is what devolution actually would be. That will now be a federal state. A federal state that is now almost autonomous, united by superior particular laws. But I don't think that is what we have in our constitution. We actually have a devolved state that still promotes a unitary state. Chapter devolution, it actually states that we should still find unity despite the devolution. So what do we have? We have a situation where we still need revenue to be collected and distributed with respect to the amount of revenue that is collected. I'll explain and we are confused. Why do I think this is important? It is because naturally I'm a tax base to our fanan. You cannot expect to a tax base which is a province, tax base north. If you allowed a federal situation, you are perpetually keeping Mat North in poverty because they will not be able to collect as much revenue as you collect in Bulawayo. Then the argument will come, but Mat North have resources, but they have not been converted to income. You just have got the forests and the trees. They still need to be converted to income through conversion engines such as factories, tourism markets, which generally come from people who do not belong there. So there are a lot of modalities around it. But what do we know? We know that numerous formulas exist. But when you look at them by and large, they all focus on generally 4 areas. First of all, fiscal need. Second of all, fiscal capacity. Kulandele fiscal effort, le fiscal gap. Ngizakuchasisa lokhu ukuthi sikhuluma ngani. Oqala fiscal need, we realize that the larger the province, particularly in terms of population and the need for service delivery, it is argued ukuthi iprovince le ngenxa yokuthi inkulu ilabantu abaningi njalo ilento eziningi omele zenziwe, it should make sense therefore that a larger cake of the monies that have been put towards devolution should go to it. This is the first principle, which is based on fiscal need. Due to the additional costs of increased service delivery, it should follow that because of higher demands, we expect ukuthi imali le ihambe more towards a place in a higher demand. This is what makes economic and equity sense. Not equality, but equity sense. Capacity. Do we have the ability to pay for what it is that we are asking for? Do we have the income? Do we generate the income? Do we generate the income that we want? Do we generate the income that we want to use kuma services etu? So if we do we really need imali evela state? This is the idea of capacity. Those provinces that have got the ability to generate their own income, those provinces that they've got the ability to support themselves, those provinces that are rich by right should get less of the cake. They can support themselves. So we start to see a bit of a contradiction because we expect abantu rich populations they need ekhona. But you realize that as societies develop, needs of the people in those particular rich areas are no longer as serious as needs of the people who are in places that are not rich. So the second principle would say ukuthi indawo evelile mali makungahambi imali eningi kakhulu. kuyikuthi yaqala besithe indawo edinga usizo yikho lapha imali eningi behambe. Esithathu izathi yona right i-effort siya realize kule ndawo ezingela mali kodwa they've got the ability to generate extreme amounts of revenue over time. What do we mean? Uzathola ukuthi indawo enjengeHarare le mali eningi kakhulu. Say within a financial year, i-GDP locally Harare does not increase or increases only by 2%. Ubusukhangela indawo njenge-Mad North okungala mali eningi kakhulu, they managed to increase their GDP by almost 30%. If you look at it uqathanisa uzathola ukuthi imali eHarare eningi kodwa improvement eMad North has been serious. This is what we mean by the effort. We should reward that sort of effort in the creation of this formula. Labo who are working hard to build their economy should get an incentive to get an increased slice of the cake. In comparison to labo they do not need to keep growing. This creates an incentive as a stopper laziness within the different provincial structures that you would have. Then the last ideal which is put when we discuss a revenue sharing formula is that of the fiscal gap, which is generally what is used in Ethiopia. So the difference between the measure of how much needs are there and versus the capacity. Ukuthi inidi ngabe inkulu but capacity incane, kumbe inidi ngabe incane capacity inkulu. The idea is to reduce this gap as much as possible. So we argue that each and every formula must try to factor in these things to ensure that aspects of fiscal need, the fiscal gap, fiscal capacity, and fiscal effort are put in place. Right, this formula recognizes those ideals and isibona ngani ngasebenza. Sesikhangela ke iformula kaMthuli yona ukuthi menjani based on those ideals. So Mthuli's interim formula focuses on the population profile, it focuses on the poverty profile and the infrastructure quality. Now, what is the first challenge that we have with this formula? I get a bit worried because very few people actually discuss this. They spend more time on the political side of devolution. Ungananzeli formula kaMthuli ayilama weightings at all. Ayilama weightings, or we do not know them, maybe they are yet to be publicized. Ayilama weightings, and we do not know how much population counts for in the formula. How much does infrastructure quality count for in the formula? As we do not know if he has put more emphasis on the number of people that are in a place or the number of roads that are in a place. This has to be clear. And this has to be debated in a participatory fashion. Then, kule challenge enkulu kakhulu when we discuss our ideas at devolution, le sharing of revenue. Data asilayo. That is the honest truth. As we speak now, I'm not sure, but last I checked, Bulawayo does not have a dedicated statistical office in council. We do not know what our local GDP is. We do not know what composes our GDP. We do not know how our population is distributed according to particular demographics of age, gender, whatever. We do not know the level of revenue that we have got the capacity to collect. We don't know so much. So it is very difficult to us to make even an argument. This is our contribution to the national cake. This is our fiscal effort, so we deserve this. So we really need to start moving in a direction that allows us to understand aspects like that. I'm happy that we do have a local economic office headed by Mr. Moyo, but I think we now need to start seeing these statistics being regularly publicized so that we understand them. Then the utilization of population figures themselves, as Mthuli has given, is not a very, very bad thing, but there are challenges with that. Simple population figures do not give you ideas of population quality. You see? Having many people does not mean that all those people are suffering. We can have many people, but they are well off in comparison to few people who could be in Masvingo, another province, who are actually suffering more than you are. So the population quality has to be qualified by things such as, for instance, number of days children attend school, the pass rates, the number of times people are sick. And when you compare this from percentage levels, you can make a better justified argument for sending money to a particular province despite it having a lower population than another one. Then, kusukhangela izinto ezinjenge taxation now if we want to say this is the amount of tax that was collected from Bulawayo, this is the amount of tax that was collected from Harare, this is the amount of tax that was collected from Mad North, Mad South, and so on. What does that mean? It means that if we only focus on the income dimension, poverty, and so on, people have got an incentive to under-declare the tax that they collected. If you have a revenue formula that says we will reward poverty, you see, which is what we have there. If we reward poverty, it means that I have to keep myself poor so that the money keeps coming. You see? Which is a challenge if we work like that. But if we had a representative tax system that says the economic potential of Bulawayo is so much, say 3 billion. So it doesn't matter what you get to, but now we expect you to get to 3 billion. And we're going to tax you based on the expected output. Now this gives us an incentive to actually say if we get to that 3 billion, we're actually going to be shown to be having fiscal effort and likely to get an increase in the amount of revenue that comes to us. So I worry about a revenue formula that actually focuses primarily on poverty, the poverty profile, without explaining how this poverty comes about. And then finally, EBSS he's going to look at the infrastructure quality. He does not explain the infrastructure in this case. Infrastructure is very different. For instance, infrastructure that focuses on human capital has got what we call a very low threshold. What do I mean by that? An increase of 40 students in a school will probably require an extra teacher immediately, isn't it? But the same 40 students who have increased in that community do not need a new road. You see what I mean? So roads and schools are both infrastructure. But now, there are different types of infrastructure that have got different levels of pressure with respect to how communities increase or decrease. So there is need for better clarity in explaining how we arrive at this formula, because what it means is we could have many schools but very few roads. But if we sum it all up as infrastructure, infrastructure any good. But so exactly what it is that is meant and required when it gets to that. Now, what should we consider when moving forward? Devolution why hold over a principle of holding homeless, making sure that there is no harm that gets to anyone. Devolution should not leave anyone worse off than they were before devolution. It's a very controversial perspective, but it is something that is held generally the world over. Devolution. Now, we have to ask ourselves if in any case there is a chance that this would happen if we implemented devolution in the ways that we want to see, particularly from a national perspective. And we also have to understand why this principle comes about, because the argument is that it does not lead to any short-term harm of any individual or short-term dissatisfaction of any individual. So, regarding this situation, what is the difference between the provinces that are at the top and the provinces that are at the bottom? 2, are differences lower? Are they reasonable? And 3, what has resulted in these differences? These are very, very important questions, because it is through them that we are able to really look at the formula that we are dealing with and accept it from a critical perspective. But it has to be something that is discussed in a participatory manner, because I think this is what really counts. 310 million. But I think there is very limited discussion around that. And then we also need to specify si review anini njalo kangaki. Lokhu lakho asikawuzisi.
Thank you, Dr. Tube. I think ungayikhatshana ungahlala la ngile ndawo eqondileyo lapha ongahlala kiyo. Ngiyazi ukuthi so rapidly rawuzile lapha. Angisoze ngingezelele kodwa ngizaphonga ukuthi mina labantu abachiseka abafuna ukumbuza nangu ngelapha lingathatha ithuba limbuza. If you have a comment, let's try to keep it short. I am not sure whether we'll continue with that idea. You try to speak as loud as you can so that your voice is figure. Babuye ngapha. Uyala lapho manjinela uthi ababuye la abantu bazokhumela ngapha. So I'm seeing one hand, I am seeing 2. Let me take the first 2 and see what happens. Okay. Chero ngacheta. Lo mfaka mdala ngacheta usiza ngapha sibona.
Thank you for your presentation, sir. I think it raises a lot of questions in terms of measuring where we are in terms of our commitment and progress towards devolution as a country. But my question, and also in terms of comment, is that in Zimbabwe we find that, I don't know if there's been an effort to particularly analyze this, what I'm about to say particularly when you look at taxes, taxation processes or taxation framework in Zimbabwe, is such that if you look at ZIMRA itself, I'm not so sure if there's a way to determine where the taxes have been collected, whether per household, whether per region, whether per township, whether per province or per city, to say how is that, where did these taxes originate from? That's number one. Then the second issue is that if you look at the companies or parastatals or state enterprises that we have in Zimbabwe, is such that the revenue collected, all of it, regardless whether it's in Mad South or Mad North, it goes to the central government. So how do you then determine that this amount was collected in Lupane, for instance, was collected in Matopo, was collected in Mkuza, for instance? So that's the major challenge that we face, such that the revenue collection itself in Zimbabwe is centralized. So then the recommendations, even the four narratives or frameworks that we gave to say how do we measure fiscal, how to determine in terms of fiscal allocation. So I want to find out if there's been an attempt by maybe from the academia, and also how do we start as a region, maybe as a country, to start implementing the four recommendations, particularly on fiscal collection or fiscal analysis that you mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's have the two questions.
Nyabonga, igama lami Evans Indaba. I think ingaba a question kumbe a comment angazi ukuthi uDubuza uthatha njani. But nginanzelela ukuthi maybe ngcenye sesigijime kakhulu ngoba asikafiki lapho esikhuluma khona khathesi ukuthi sithi thina sikhulume ngedevolution ngoba kayikho. Zimbabwe is still a centralized government on my own point of view. That's why umthuli esipresentela ibudget yakhe ngendlela afisa ngayo, angithi ngendlela afuna ngayo, because usebenzisa ama central powers, not umthetho ovela ukhona. Why ngisitsho njalo? If we are a devolved state, angithi umthuli bekufuza ukuthi asebenzise imali ezisuka kuma provinces zisiya ku central government ukuthi as allocate back to what, to the provinces. Two, sile problem ye politics zeZimbabwe most of the time ezamanga. Why ngisitsho njalo? Ziyas affect individual economically, ziyas affect. Why? I-census sometimes ngicabangela ukuthi umthuli futhi ayisebenzisile to allocate ama funds, of which census most of Matabeleland provinces bayiyala bathi iqamba amanga. Engilofakazi ngakho ngoba mina nginje kambalwanga engikhuluma. Bathola ngiyekho endlini bathe besithi ubaba kakho, bathi ayisifuna lini elikhona, ngathi mbalandela ukuthi mina mbalwanga, bathi ayisesidlulile. So mina umbuzo wami ngokuthi kufuze silobe ukuthi ngiyazibuza silobe for ama funds ayeneleyo, or kufuze first silobe for i-devolution eZimbabwe, because nxa i-devolution is in place amboni ukuthi singaba le problem lamaphutha wonke la yenzakala. For example, umeya kufuze avotelwe direct abe lama executive powers. Angithi. So mboni ngani ngumbuzo endawo nje ukuthi kufuze senze Mr. Dube. Silobhe for i-devolution kumbe sicela umthuli asenzele kuhle. Ngiyabonga.
Siyabonga mfoko Ndaba.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu imibuzo emihle. Okokuqala, I want to highlight certain things that are very critical for all of us to understand. Revenue collection is always a national prerogative. Or ugakhangela even amazo seduzane lathi or SARS or PURS, those are national entities that collect revenues on behalf of the country. So it is very correct for ZIMRA to do it from a national perspective. There are many things that I will not get into from an economic perspective that make it like this. For instance, now decentralize corruption. Now, all revenue in a state is what we term national income. National income. It is given by a formula, which is government expenditure, consumer expenditure, investment that is there, plus the difference between exports and imports from companies within that state. Among company wonke abadala i-tax ale address. Ale address kuyaziwa ukuthi angaphi njalo kuyaziwa ukuthi ayenze malini aremunerate malini to ZIMRA everywhere. Among company wonke exportayo ahamba through ama borders unless angikhulumi nge-smuggling lama unregistered entities. Kuyaziwa ukuthi company le ingaphi, kuyaziwa ukuthi iremite malini, kuyaziwa ukuthi imali yakhona inga. So, because of the presence of these, we can actually trace out the economic size of the different provinces based on the location and based on where the business is actually occurring. So it is not technically correct to put information ikona and ineng, and all we need to do is to have an active entity which just gives it to us. And we expect this entity to be the provincial economic side of things, which in this case will be the Statistical Economic Department ya Bulawayo. If you go to South Africa now, which is a decentralized state, they will tell you that the size of the economy of Johannesburg, of Gauteng is so much, of what is so much, or what is so much. The main economic spheres and sectors are these ones and these ones and these ones, based on the contribution that they have to localized GDP. Now, on the second part, akula perfect scenario. We are not going to wake up in the morning and have everything rosy and perfect. Anyali, there are many aspects of devolution that have not yet been implemented. There are some that have. For instance, it is in our constitution. That is a very good thing. Second, we now have money for it. We do not have a law that operationalizes it. Now, what I have heard is that there are draft laws that have been put in place. I once attended something which was organized by PRIS, where they were actually debating the draft law and trying to talk about things that we want to see in this law. We have to make sure we participate in those national debates. So I accept that is not to say now, I want to talk to the issue of the population. A high population, as I've already explained, does not necessarily mean you're going to get a lot of resources. We would actually prefer a formula that understands the quality of the population. Meaning, a population laying be high, but igula okunganan, ifunde okunganan, vulnerable okunganan. This will eliminate the challenges. No, we now want the most vulnerable societies to get the highest shares of national resources from a devolution perspective.
Thank you, Dr. Dube. I think because of time, I will excuse you to resume your seat. Lesikhathi kunzima lapha sibili. Ngizathatha leli thuba ukuthi ngithi nxa ekhona ositshisekayo lo mbuzo angawubamba mbijana. I think we'll create a bit of a plenary towards the end. But let me then now call Dube from ZIMCODD Route City Council to give us a presentation on challenges and opportunities for public finance management in local authorities. We can give a round of applause to Dr. Dube. And perhaps we also give a round of applause for Mama Lapan. At least we're going to have a female voice. So I said that she would talk about challenges and opportunities for public finance management in local authorities, identify current gaps, aspirations, proposed legal and institutional reforms. So for those that are listening to us on Sky's Metro FM, this is a public finance management Indaba organized by ZIMCODD to try and interrogate issues of public interest, concern in relation to public finance and economic governance. So speaking now is Estime from ZIMCODD, RTC. She is talking about challenges and opportunities for public finance management in local authorities and identify current gaps, speak to aspirations and propose legal and institutional reforms. Madam, yes, this is your topic. Thank you. So I will give you, how many minutes? Okay, 10, 15 minutes max. Let's try 15 and see how far you can go.
Salibonani, good morning. Ngiyalibingelela ngu-Estube from Umzingwane, abanye bathi esigodini. Mina ngizakhangela ngama-challenges and opportunities for public finance management in local authorities, current gaps, aspirations, and the legal and institutional reforms. Siyabonga thina abemzingwane yithe siprovide Bulawayo City Council ngamanzi. Wakhala ngamanzi akhona semzingwane. Idamu lona leyani imzingwane isesigodini sibizwa kuthiwa imzingwane dam, incema dam, it's within us, Mdimchabe zimdam. So nxa likhala ngamanzi labe libuza kithi ukuthi kade ama-water levels khona ngapha njani. So hayi isikhala sisonke nini, although amanzi akhona siphinda siwalandele koBulawayo. Sigeza ngawona la sibahle so imzingwane. Siyabonga. Basasilungisela imtshina yethu la. But challenges ngiqalisa kuma guiding principles of FEMA.
Maybe abantu mapho ukuthi kancane bazisistretch nje. Sithola umuntu awasinika energize, abanye seze silale la. Ngiyabona sibila abanye abasekho lapha. If you can get an energizer, singasukuma nje sizelule. Ngibefuna ngithi bengicela sisubeni sizelule. Sithi energizer nje just to stretch while they are sorting out into zemchina lezi. Who can give us an energizer? Jerry ngiyabazi ukuthi basumela phezulu. Mathi basinike energizer eyi-1. Just to stretch, even ungasilabelisa kolanda. Energizer. Yes. Moyo, ungaphambili. Yasiphumene ezitulweni ngize sibhale kuhle, asimene ngemva kwezitulo zethu ngize sibhale kuhle. Uyachaya isitulo ephansi lapha sothiwa sinasilecala. Bayithi sathi nimcala abantu. Ukhona kade ufuna ukukhuluma ku Dr. Dube engimvaleleyo obefuna ukureact a comment ngoba khaya imshini izasiphuzisa lapha. Funa ukukhuluma? Ya lingabuya lizobuza lingakhululeka.
Thank you, Ansamonangla. Ube khulumenge mama formulas of sharing laphan. My understanding is that our base should be that we must know statistics as well each province. PGDP, provincial domestic product. I want the provincial domestic product of each province to be known and then be used as a base for sharing, because from that we are able to tell which provinces have been sidelined for quite a long time. And this is where I wanted him to respond to it. I also, maybe this is outside the scope of this forum, but I wanted him also to interrogate the principle of each province using the local materials. And this is going to go quite broadly because it will affect a lot the resources in there. By resources, you mean manpower and everything else that is in there. So how are we handling that situation? Thank you very much.
Okay, I think some of the questions we can throw them back to us. I think the first question was, or is a suggestion that we use each GDP per province to calculate, or as a formula to calculate resource allocation, to say, okay, Material and North GDP contribution is, say, 7% towards the national GDP. And then we use that also to say, so much North must get 7% allocation from the national budget. And then the other question, maybe some people can try to respond to it. Are you ready, ma'am? So, right. Okay.
Siyabonga. Challenges and opportunities for public finance management in local authorities. I think from the previous speaker on the keynote address, the definition for public finance management was explained by Tafatwa. So, I don't think we need to go back on the definition. I think we need to move on. We are going to tackle the cycle of private finance management. Cycle is policy design, budget formulation, budget approval, budget execution, accounting, and external audit. That's the cycle. Sizayikangela ngama stages ankhona. I will try to be brief. Then the guiding principles of public finance management, FIMA. There must be transparency. Sorry, there's something. There must be transparency and accountability. Something is happening here.
So maybe we can use this.
You want to look and it's okay. Okay. All right. There must be transparency and accountability. Sikangela in public, labas kuma public funds. Kuma public funds, there is need for transparency and accountability. Accountability to our citizens. Manje babekwazi ukuthi ama-funds abo asebenza njani, asuka njani, ahambe njani. So there is need for transparency. Then the second point, the public finance system must be directed towards national development. National development is the national, not the individual local authorities. We are speaking of the nation. So the burden of taxation must be shared fairly. Revenue raised national must be shared equally between the central government and the provincial and local tiers of the government. Bonanza skesa ukuxoxa lapha lembuzo sikuyaphuma from the issue of central government ukuthi why isilokhu sihamisa ama-funds for central government. I think that it has been tackled from prior speakers. Then another point is the burdens and benefits and the use of resources must be shared equitably between present and future generations. The resources that we get today, we must not spend them wholly today. We need to budget for the future generations. Whatever we have today, we need to budget for the future that we are going to. Then the other point is the public funds must be expended transparently, prudently, economically, and effectively. Financial management must be responsible, and fiscal reporting must be clear for all the citizens to understand. There was another issue which was raised by another speaker in terms of the information. I think that's another point there. Then public borrowing and all transactions involved in the national debt must be carried out transparently and in the best interest of the nation of Zimbabwe. Next. Okay. I'll move there.
All right.
It's not moving.
Isizondeni ke. I think just present from this.
From this
and
and
talk to people.
okay.
Ngoba ngibona ngani. Ngicela lithola amabhuku lamaphepha libe libhale phansi lingakhohlwa. Ngoba lisazi libone lapha libhale sibili.
Then we are now talking about the current gaps, the lack of budget credibility, lack of funding credibility, poor maintenance of accounting records, tax evasion and avoidance, lack of efficient cash management, weak monitoring of contingent liabilities, weak internal controls. I think these are clear, that's why I'm moving on. Poor corporate governance, procurement irregularities, inadequate controls in receiving payments, statutory deadlines for financial reporting not adhered to, then failure to honor statutory obligations. Then the other issues, incapacitated councillors, they also create another gap, corrupt activities, absence or reluctance to implement punitive measures on errant public officials. These are the gaps which are they are affecting us, PFM in local authorities. Then the aspirations, more efficient, transparent, and accountable budget execution. The issue of budgeting now comes again. Real-time financial reports, real-time reporting on budget utilization, effective financial control and accountability, enhanced public finance management reporting. That's transparency, timely and effective. These are the aspirations. Then the management of financial exposure, eradication of corruption. These are the aspirations. Alignment of FEMA Act to the Constitution, sound policies and procedures, adherence to the FEMA guiding principles as spelled out in the Constitution. Then the institutional reforms, this is the last one. Tightening of internal controls, capacity building for councillors, building of strong finance and audit committees, identifying common reporting requirements of oversight agencies, real-time reports and access to financial data. Then the legal reforms, harmonizing budgeting and accounting classifications and reporting. Public account committees need more to act on errant public officials. Then the other one is consider minimum entry level for requirements for councillors. That's the end of the presentations.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Maybe you can take a seat. Should people maybe have some points of clarification, reaction, comments to your presentation? I know that it was marred with a lot of technical glitches, so perhaps we might have lost the flow. But nonetheless, I think she was speaking to a very critical point in terms of experience sharing. And as I was listening to introductions, a number of people were coming from council. Perhaps they may want to react from what she has said, juxtaposing with their own experiences. But I think she spoke to something that I thought stood out for me, particularly the realignment of the Public Finance Management Act, strengthening of or capacity building for councillors to be able to articulate some of these issues. I think for me those stood out, and also consider also the minimum entry for councillors as another requirement that can actually enhance the public finance management aspect at local level. For me, those are the key issues that stood out when she was giving a presentation. I am not sure from your side what stood out for you, or perhaps you want to follow up on something that she spoke about. Yes, I can see Untitled Chapter. I can see Comrade Moyo Lapana, Umelusi, I can see Comrade Manning. In that order, so I'll take Comrade Ntlanhla, Comrade Moyo, and then Comrade Manning. Yes, umele bephambili ukuze bakuzwe kuhle lapha emshineni. So I think it's a lesson to us ukuthi singarelying emshina. Sometimes it's good to do we print i-hard copy a presentation yakho, so that at least you are not compromised by imshina le nxa isithe ya misbehavior like isenza namhlanje.
Okay, thank you for a good presentation. Maybe ngacela clarify lembichana on what you mean by budget credibility. Maybe we might have different understandings of that. But again, I acknowledge the debate around the minimum qualifications for our councillors. However, then I would pose a question. Zimbabwe is some of the most educated people in various ministries and departments, yet we have the highest levels of corruption and misuse of funds. So how do we marry us requiring a councillor ukuthi afunde kakhulu, yet we also have abantu afunde kakhulu but sile corruption enkulu kakhulu? So angazi.
I think the question is clear. Ungikhumbuze enye into kuthiwa eNigeria ungadobha ilitshe ujikijele uyachaya kuthiwa uyachaya udoctor or something like that, and ungakhaya eNigeria futhi nxa usubala kuhle kuthiwa ama-419 amamenemene amaningi avele eNigeria. So engxenye abantu bengafunda kakhulu baba amamenemene nginakana njalo. Bengithe umoyo laphana.
Thank you very much, madam, for your presentation. But okwami kuzawa comment kodwa ulandele imbuzo. A very good observation yokuthi there must be a minimum entry ku council ukwenzela ukuthi abantu bakwanise ukwenza ibudget lokumanager ama funds. Umbuzo wami usithi bona i-Local Governments Act kumbe i-Constitution ithini nge-minimum entry njengama-councillors liyenzani lina ngakho khonokho kusemthethweni kumbe kungumbono obakhona? Then omunye umbuzo ngikuzwile ukhuluma ngama-budget besides amanye ama-stakeholders njengama-councillors prior to ama-supplemental budgets kuyini elikwenzayo ukwenzela ukuthi izakhamizi zibe kwazi ukuthi kuyini vele ibudget iqhakatheke kungakanani before lingakabuyi kuso? Ngiyabonga.
Siyabonga Moyo. Comrade Manning.
Thank you. I was hoping the lady was going to mention economic catch-up, Metropolitan and South. because of before independence and a little bit in the first early years, Metapilila and South and Bulawayo, Bulawayo was the economic hub, but it's no more. It's now Harare. It was affected by these unrests which happened. I was hoping she was going to pick it up, and how do we catch up Metapilila and South? How does it catch up? How does Bulawayo catch up? It was once the hub. Why is it not the hub? Thank you.
Thank you, Comrade Manning. You can react to those questions and points.
Thank you. The first one is the question was about the budget credibility. For the budget credibility, we are considering the issue of, do we really understand what we mean by budgeting as the people who are doing the budget, so that we can easily make up a follow-up and we can easily account for whatever we are budgeting for. That's number one. Then the second one was the qualification about the councillors. The issue of concern is, if we just have councillors with no knowledge, considering the issue of budgeting, they will be like, we need to understand first what is the budget, how do we formulate, how do we really follow up on the budget, the accountability side and the transparent side. So we need people who understand what they are doing and why they are doing it. Then the other issue was the issue of why the economic cash up in Mad South. I think that one, maybe from my personal view, the resources as the province of Mad South or the Matabeleland region, the resources we have, I think from the issue of devolution, if the devolution is implemented, I think from that end we are going to benefit. That's my personal point of view. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. You want to make a follow-up question? Yes. Yes.
He has made some of the best contributions in Parliament.
Okay.
But development is a concept which is not abstract like book education. Sometimes you don't go to school to value and appreciate how to help your fellow citizens develop.
Okay.
So we need to really get to a point where we debate this and get balance and understand what we're talking about. We run the risk of having educated people in councils and see a challenge in who would be like that.
Yes, I think you're speaking to something very important before maybe I ask you to proceed to and resume your seat. Unhlanhla is speaking to something that is very important. The question is, do you want to live by the principles of public finance management, or want people who have the technical understanding? Because you can live by the principles, practice the principles, even if you're not an expert in that area. So I think the point is that we need. I can see Flo there is reacting to what I've just said or to the whole discussion. But before Flo comes in, let's give a round of applause to Mama Lapana for your presentation.
I think this issue, kumele ukuthi si discuss namhla sithi come up with the solution in terms of indaba yama councillors lay, because lapha kade sike sakhuluma kwenye indawo sithi sonke isikhathi nxa sehluleka we sifaka iblame sithi anti into zonke ngeze Harare, into zonke anti ngeze Harare. But here comes a devolved system ezabe isiza expose efficiency yethu. And so, how are we planning ahead? I also want to speak to political parties. I also want to speak also to council to say, here is devolution, devolved system is coming. How prepared are we? Are our councillors prepared enough to monitor those resources? So we should come up with a system to say, even if it's not about the qualification, Political parties should start capacity building candidates up, so that when people get into these positions, ebekwazi ukuthi what is a budget, engafiki esefundiswa yi-council ukuthi kuyini i-budget, or else bethi nxa bechoose bona kuma-cells. Let's get people prepared to take up our positions now, because at the end of the day we will fail to deliver. And also kulento yokuthi ama-funds will be given according to competency ye-council. Bazakhangela i-competency ye-council. So how prepared are we, Mkuza, Eskodini, Bulawayo? Because i-competency enaliyana, angifuna ukuqamba ukuthi ngikhulume into ngifuna ukucabangela ukuthi bazathi nxa bekhangela i-competence bethi sicelana ukubona engxenye ama-board members enu, i-finance committee yenu, sicela beletha ama-CVs. Bethi auditor bethi konkhona kumbe umuntu ozabe ekhangela ethi konkhona abantu bona laba ba-effecta njani i-competence. So how have we looked at how have we strengthened our systems that ahead of it developing sikhangele i-public finance management?
I can see reactions now. I will take kada mama abangaso Florence abangapha bangapi. I need a female voice. And anyway, comrade Indaba ungapho nguthi masinyane ubaba uChuma prepare to come forward ezosinika presentation yakhe nxa ngaphambanisanga laphana. Yes, baba uChuma laphana ngolandelayo. So ngabe super rate asifuna umshayeli isiphice futhi njengokuqala.
Ngiyabonga umfowethu uNhlanhla laphana ngendlela akhulume ngayo. Bese ngisithi udadewethu Florence ukhulume ukuthi kufuze sivumelane. Sibone ukuthi senza njani. Afuzanga hlale sipoint ama fingers kuphela. But kufuze sibe le solution njengokutsho kwakhe. Mina ngicabanga ukuthi asibuyeleni ku-system yakudala yokuchoose ama-councillors. U-council besiba yindoda eyakhileyo koBulawayo. Elomuzi koBulawayo angithi. Nxa sikhuluma umuntu elomuzi sikhuluma ngo-landlord koBulawayo. But khathesi you find ukuthi ama-councillors akhona out of 29, maybe 10 kuphela ngama-landlords. The rest ngama-lodge angithi. So umuntu lwana angaze misuse ama-funds ethu. Angithi uzahamba buyele kibo liyamdinga nga. Liyamdinga nga. Usehambile wamisusa ama-funds. Asibeni lo muntu ala ukuthi i-government then bese siba le system umthetho obhalwe phansi ochoyo ukuthi kulandelwa lokho not ama-individual plans ukuthi umuntu as an individual yena ucabangani, but kube lo mthetho obhalwe phansi obopha umuntu lwana. Ngoba khathesi nxa kunje undiwene le ndlu la ebhalise phansi konke lakho angithi angamisuze ama-funds sihamba sethatha indlu yakhe siyithengise sirecover ama-funds ethu. But u-Evans olojile number 6 angamisuze ama-funds liyamthola ngayabe sengibuyilekile kithi kogodlwayo ngabaleka ngaye South Africa soze lindithole. Ngiyabonga.
Siyabonga mfokandaba ngike ngabengela ama-landlords ekuseni. I think I'm being vindicated ukuthi lapha bangako landlord nxa bengavotelwa sibe laba lezinto ezibabambayo bangaki. Cibona izandla phezulu landlord. There's 1, 2, 3. Less than 5% of the house. So kuthi ukuthi lapha ngangena umuntu esikhundleni lapha ngavuka nje ezibalekele ngalento ezambamba kulusizi kakhulu. Chuma, you can maybe speak to us about the perspective of a resident. We have heard the local authority, we have heard the academics giving us their perspective on the subject of the day, and we have ZIMCODD also speaking. Now as a resident, what is your take on public finance management in local authorities, pre and post devolution? I am not sure whether we are, how do we get to post devolution? Are we going to have devolution now and then it goes? I'm just curious to know his presentation, was it all about?
Hey, thank you, Mike. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Lichona Njan Mahlabezu. Perhaps before I get into my presentation, allow me to react also to the last issue that we're debating. Okay. That's fine. That's okay. 15 is okay. Yeah. Before my reaction, I want to welcome the FD for Bulawayo City Council, Mr. Kempton Demand. As a ratepayer, I'm glad my observations and my views that I'm going to highlight are going to be heard. I was worried because the city fathers were absent when we started this. As the host city, basically anticipate ukuthi you will lead the pack. Ukwenzela ukuthi isigodini imzingwane will copy and emulate what Bulawayo City Council does. But nonetheless, welcome, though you came late. Right. The problem that we have with issues Yama councillors Mahlabezulu is that we have ceased as a people to vote according to competence. We are now voting according to party insignia, ama symbols, or party jackets. And as long as we continue in that mantra, in that line, we can never have efficient and effective service delivery. I challenge here to ungagaxa isigodo usigqokise either MDC or whatever majority party there. People will just vote for that stick. And as long as we do that kind of philosophy, still maintain that philosophy, we are not going anywhere as residents. We are not going anywhere as citizens. We need to come out of that mentality and start voting according to competence. Right, I'm here to give you public finance management in local authorities, but including a pre and post devolution, a perspective as citizen. So I'm talking to you as a general resident. And my presentation will focus primarily on the state of service delivery in the local authorities. My fellow predecessors have already spoken much about PFMA and the FEMA, PFM. I'm not going to waste time talking about that. So in that current state, where are we as local authorities? The state of service delivery in local authorities directly imparts the life of a resident, an ordinary person on Jengawela. Whatever decisions that councillors make in the council chambers have a repercussion in our livelihood as residents. And because of that, we need to have a particular interest in the decisions that are made in council chambers or within local authorities. Right, if you to introspect and regressively go backwards, you'll realize that since the turn of the millennium, there have been widespread complaints over local governance issues. And some of these complaints have been raised by stakeholders, and other civic society organizations, and general ratepayers like you and me. And all those issues are revolving around our perceptions as a result of certain irregularities that local authorities do. And part of the perceptions that we tend to see are elements of allegations of maladministration, number one, abuse of funds, abuse of council resources, etc. I'm sure Ubabun Demand will respond to some of these issues that we are raising as residents. Allow me then to look at the issues, the critical issues that perhaps generate and fuel perceptions that we as residents get to have. Into yokuqala that I've observed as a ratepayer, as a resident, is that there is lack of access to financial information. I'm yet to see a local authority that publicizes its financial statements. Hello? When they come for their budget consultative reviews, before they talk of a budget, they need to present the past financial performance so that we have a comparative basis. All right, this is where we were in terms of our actuals, and this is where we are going as a people. But what they tend to do, but we have a speed daily, the same budget we voted last year, but we present it as if it is the financial statement. To me, there is no transparency there. It's window dressing. Someone is hiding something by presenting the same information. IBs in different terms. At the financial statement, up in the IT budget. There must be a difference. A budget is a plan for the future. A financial statement is a record of our past, how we've walked the talk that we spoke about. Right. So into yokuqala, that is critical. Residents, Mr. Demand, Mem Dube, want to see your financial information. There are grants that are given to local authorities, like Izinar, what we call grants in aid for the development of roads and Zinar. We as residents, as ratepayers, we are not even aware of how these funds are dispersed, how these funds are used. Hello? I-Council ya Bulawayo, good Mr. Ndimande is here, is a 3% retention fund. How many residents among you know how that 3% has been used in your own words? Can I see by a show of raising it? If you can explicitly tell me your 3% was used in this area, this shows you to a greater extent that there is a lack of access to financial information. I envisage in the post-devolution era, where we see local authorities publicizing their financial statement through their websites, through social media. Bulawayo City Council has got a Facebook page, through Twitter, through even the print media. We see other companies publishing their financial statements. Why are our local authorities not publishing? What is it that they are hiding? What is it that they are trying to avoid the citizens from knowing? Point number 2. If you look at this critically, you will realize that our service delivery levels are weakened by unsustainable cost expenditures that our local authorities have. Particularly, I will look at my city of Bulawayo. In my analysis, I've been involved in the past budget review and plenary sessions. Our employment costs as a city of Bulawayo are unsustainable. And that translates even to the other local authorities. You will note that most local authorities have got salaries and wages above 50%. Yet the government regulatory framework says 30% towards admin and salaries. Then say the rest, 70%, is directly, specifically meant to cater for service delivery. And that is not the case. When you talk about it, they hide with a finger. There's always an excuse. It is about time that as residents we stand for ourselves and demand transparency, demand accountability. And for that to be possible, we need access to financial information. Without that, you will not be able to tell the percentages that are there. That's the reason that they're not giving, that's the reason maybe why they're not giving us access to the financial reports. Because there are certain things that they know, disclose. The next factor that I realize, low prioritization of capital projects. Right now as a city, you will realize that we have grown exponentially in terms of the population. Our numbers have grown over and over the years that have come by. If you look at the population at Country Park, it will tell you something about the city of Bulawayo in terms of population. If you go to Pumula, South Mtunzini, if you go to Mbundani, that tells you that the city is growing. But if you now look at the infrastructure, the growth in terms, translate that growth of population to growth in terms of infrastructure, 0. We are still using or utilizing infrastructure that we inherited from the Smith regime. Perhaps, perchance, the reason why we are having insensate water reticulation problems, it is because of old water piping systems that we have, which are now unsustainable. Hello? Some of the challenges is not because Mzingwane does not have water. If I were to ask you, Sister Tubi, what are the water levels? He will tell you that maybe perhaps they are above 55%. Yet we've got water rationing taking place in Bulawayo. Why? Our pipes are now too old to sustain the population that is there. And what has the council done over the past years? Nada. Or very little. They are actually maintaining instead of installing new things. So we are worried about maintenance instead of infrastructure development. Right. Perhaps the other perceptions that lead to people to think around issues of maladministration, abuse of resources, etc. It is because even the Auditor General's office is not doing their oversight role of auditing and critiquing the local authorities. You will realize that the local authorities for the past so many years have not been audited. Then, where will the ratepayers and the residents get their yardstick to measure efficiency and effectiveness of service delivery if there are no audit reports? In terms of internal auditors, yes, the councils, the local authorities do have internal auditors, but bear in mind, these internal auditors are hired by them. And they hire these people who are meant to supervise the employer. And I'm already, if I am hired as an internal auditor of Bulawayo City Council, I'll be compromised to give a negative report about Mr. Ndimande, because I'm writing the same report to the same financial director who happens to have a problem. Hello? So I'll hide that perception. Do you understand? I'll hide that point. I'll window dress it so that it does not pick that I'm attacking him directly. But what does that translate to? Lack of transparency and accountability. Coming to the critical point, you realize that most of council operations are funded from funds generated from ratepayers. And if you look at the majority of local authorities, the debtors listing is very high. I want to believe as of the first quarter of 2019, our local authorities have got debts in excess of debtors in excess of 1.3 billion. This is a problem between you and me as ratepayers. We are not doing our obligations also as ratepayers. We need to support the work of the local authorities so that we have service delivered by paying our obligations as they fall due. Esikhathi esiningi sikudinga ukuthi sikhuthazane njengezakhamizi as residents association, as civic society leaders ukuthi hayi bathandekayo la nxa kulama challenges we need to pay our rates, we need to pay our utility bills so that there is money for maintenance, there is money for cleansing of water and so forth. Right. Getting to the last phase, I want to look at the weaknesses in the local authority budget system. Okokuqala, our projections njengama local authorities for the outturn of our previous and current year's budgets are not prepared on actual expenditures. We tend to see budgets being prepared on past budgets. So each trajectory is that it's always an incremental factor. You are increasing a percentage of the previous factor. But if you are to analyze the actual figures, they will tell you of the macroeconomical constraints that are there. The reason why we're having mid-term budget policy reviews is because there are macroeconomical constraints, factors that have taken place. And for us to be able to pick those and not those, we need to analyze our actual figures, actual financial figures, not budgetary figures. This is one weakness that I pick with our local authorities. There are no satisfactory procedures for review of expenditure policies and program prioritization. You can't review something that you do not know. You need to have the access to that information for you to be able to review it accordingly. Ngengakhuluma ngama appropriations in aid, I said those are not used transparently and accountably. Let me look at now, I'm running against time, issues pertaining to post-devolution. What is it that we want to, or we envisage to see in a post-devolved Zimbabwe in terms of local authorities? Number one, for us to reap our benefits at devolution, local authorities must work on a fully effective public financial management system. And this requires 4 forms of financial and fiscal discipline. Mark these 4 forms. A, we need to have a control of aggregate expenditure to ensure affordability. When I'm talking about affordability, affordability must be consistent with macroeconomic constraints. As we talk to affordability, we also need to be mindful of the economic challenges that the city and the local authority will be facing. Local authority must also plug out potential financial leakages. Ama financial leakages la khona afana lama abuse of company vehicles. Angitsho uthola imoto nje ziyazuma in the city, you have no idea ukuthi zenzani. Some are going around doing personal errands on public assets and so forth. Those things must be plugged out. Unless we do that, we are not going to be able to reach what we envisage to be. We need to also avoid duplication of work. Utola abantu abangu-2 doing the same thing in an office. Why can't you do away with one and have the other one doing that? Right, my time is up, but allow me just 2 minutes to finish off. Effective means of achieving, the second point, effective means for achieving a resource allocation that reflects expenditure policy priorities. Remember, when we do our budgets, the initial period year review yet, siqala ngokukhangela ama key priority areas esiwavotela njengezakhamizi ukuthi for the coming year, these are the so many key priority areas. Are we together? As the financial reports are being prepared, we need to reflect whether the financial statements are indicative of the key priority areas that we voted for as ratepayers. If that is not done, there is a problem. C, efficient delivery of public services. Locus ukuthi productive efficiency. Lapha sikhuluma ngama provision of services at affordable cost to local communities in a more responsive and efficient manner. Right now, Khathesi Bulawayo City Council is doing a lovely job. Great imigwaqo town. But I want you to go even to the locations, to the roads that lead to the locations, because that's where we've got more dams than potholes. Hello, don't window trace. Ngapha nxa sokusiya ku trade fair. Lisenzela ukuthi umnanga kuyabe khona. Go and do lapha ngafiki khona. Ukwenzela ukuthi sibone ukuthi you are serious about service provision. D, minimization of the financial cost of budgetary management. Lapha ngikhuluma efficient budget execution. Cash and debt management practices. The last thing, the central government must also ensure annual auditing of local authorities. For us to be able to achieve this, the Office of the Auditor General must be very active. If it means recruiting more people, they must recruit so that every year these local authorities are audited. Then we can get assurance that there is transparency and accountability. Perhaps another way of holding our esteemed public officers accountable is to create as a government an office of a public protector. Ozabele lilihlo likazulu. Angakhangela izinto ezenzakala abese siba futhi the person responsible to administer legal action against any offenders etc. Benge ngakhuluma into eziningi mahlabezulu isikhathi asavumela uMike lapho sehlezi ku edge. May I take this opportunity to thank you for lending me your ears. I hand over to you, brother.
Siyabonga ukaGolide. Singamthi round of applause again. So vela kimi khathesi bezicelele. Let's hear what you think about this presentation. Any reactions? Ibicacile. Andibambe isihlahla angazi kube ku right manje bonke bathe sibili abanye ngiza sokula ma usual suspects lapha ayiwakhulumayo sengibona uNhlanhla sefuna ukuphinda lo comrade Manning ufuna ukuphinda ngike ngizwe ama voice angana amatsha ngizakwenza kube nje so I'll do it in different ways flow ukuthi in their pairs can they discuss what was saying in a minute. What are the key issues that are coming from irresident with the person next to you or in threes in 1 minute, and then I'll then take hands and then we wrap it up and then we give a floor to take us forward. Enxe lawo ngaphuma ukhulume something at least yabona. Siya ku lunch la ukhulume something ngabo ngala problem yabo. Phela singathi siyangena ezweni abanye bengasala bengakhuluma ngalutho kona. So ngena ngokhulumileyo sibili amunye siyazisalela. Right, I think we have shared your idea in a minute. Maybe we can then I can take maybe 3 or so hands and then we wrap it up. So I had seen I had said mbone uNhlanhla lo Manning, and then I can take maybe 2 more hands. Yeah, from this interaction abantu abasafuna ukuyekela ukukhuluma ndiyabona kathesi. All right, so Nhlanhla, comrade Manning, can I take 2 more hands? Wabalapana, can I have a lady, please? A lady, Umamalapana. So those 4 hands. In a minute, please. Singani singichibisa isikhathi. Baba Chuma, waseduze ngoba bafuna buza wena imbuzo eminye nxa ngamele uphendule.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chuma, for a lovely presentation. This is not a question, but it's just a contribution. Looking at local authorities and even parastatals across the country, they are more inclined towards revenue utilization rather than revenue collection. Ungangenezesa kathesi uyama 2 hours ukuthi ubhadale imali yakho. Uthi imali bayifuna but bakumise line 2-3 hours ukuthi uyebhadala. I think we need to have a change of mind frame to also prioritize revenue collection. The top block, revenue hole, maybe a director, we need to have a model where it says, how many minutes should I stand in a queue ngakapatal? Angifuna ukubhwakala ngokuthi nguphe imali yami. Ngifuna ukuthi ngangena within 10 minutes ngibe sempatele ngiphume ngihambe ngiyenza something else productive. Thank you.
Siyabonga Nhlanhla, i-culture embi, I've seen it in many government and private companies ukuthi umuntu uyalinda ukubhadala into embe enyanyisayo kumangalisayo. Sorry, but I think it must be changed. It's a very bad mentality.
Thank you. The government has failed us. The ratio which he was mentioning of 30-70, the government is doing likewise, maybe even worse. They're using 80% and only using 20% for expenditure. So likewise, the city council, and I stand here as a proud member of Bulawayo, I think our city council is doing us proud, they're doing us best, though the figures are still 70-30. But if they cannot get the funding from government, how do they manage? Imagine these dams. These dams were constructed by the city council, us, the residents of Bulawayo. But government has confiscated these dams, and now the city council pays for the water, God's given water. I'm just trying to put you people in the picture. Even our local power station, it belongs to the residents. We're supposed to be getting revenue from our city council, from our power station. But now we are paying ZESA, which is a part of government. I also want to say that our councillors are letting us down. And the department head is here. I want to highlight something. We had a budget meeting a couple of months ago. The councillor never even pitched up. All right. How are the residents going to pitch up if the person who passed there and says, no, he's got a youth meeting? I thought one of the most important things was the budget, but he's saying he's going to a youth meeting. Only 3 people pitched up there. And do you think the next time, I'm not even going to pitch up there? Thank you.
Thank you, Comrade Manning. All right, I acknowledge your hand. So, ungabuya ku-queue baba laphana wente, yeah.
Mina ngifuna ukubonga ubaba uChuma ngakutshiloyo. I-City Council yethu nzache ngitsho eyakobulawayo. Isisehlulekile. Ngoba ifakile uhlelo oluhle olwe 3% retention. Sabonga sathi hayi sokuzakhanya kancane ukuthi sidevelop indawo zethu. But kathi babefaka nje ama-figures belenjongo ezicatshileyo. Iminyaka isimingaki baba direct lilokhe lithatha lisinika ama-figures kuphela ukuthi kathesi selile mali engaka kulumnyaka lile mali engaka izoze isebenze nini. Siyayicela mina ngeke ngahamba sibili silabanye sisuka ku Ward 14 sisiyabuza ekansilini ukuthi kanti kwenzakalani ngeretention yethu. Kwathiwa hayi lani isimo selizwe liyasibona. Sokuyisimo selizwe namuhla yona i3% ikhitshwa ngengukhuphileyo. Singena nga. Siqhubelani senze esifuna ukukwenza. Ukuze la kusasa loba sizobhadala sibhadale sisazi ukuthi sibhadalelani. Sokungani thina sibhadalela ukuthi iholo lezisebenzi zekansilini zikhwele. Bakholise lemuli zabo. Bakhohlwe ngalapho kuvela khona imali ngiyabonga.
Siyabonga mama. Usisi laphana bembona isandla laphana. Oh, okay.
Mina kwambe kuyi-question. Ukuthi kona siyabonga i-presentation endlani, but I've noticed i-trend esibalayo on our presentation. Siyaphiwa ama-facts and everything. So umbuzo wami ukuthi tina as ama citizens siya yenzani, what's the step that we're going to take, because siyabona ukuthi izinto this is pure ngama negatives but sifuna ukuthi kube le change. So what's our take sizayenzani ukuthi kube le future right?
Siyabonga. Ngizanika ubaba undemand 5 minutes after enga respond to some of the comments, and then you can come in, and then from then maybe you can take on some questions that are directed to you also. But first, uchi menga reactor or ufuna reactor? Okay, all right. Okay.
Siyabonga. Ngiyaxolisa ngifike ngiphuzile bengisifika ngivela eGwelu. Bengithethiswa laphana ngena. Nge Friday sathola unxuso lwakho Ntombendala. Nge same Friday sathola unxuso futhi ukuthi siyafuneka eGwelu, uminister uyasifuna eGwelu for Monday and Tuesday. Ikho ke siqede late izolo. Ikho ngikhona fika kade siyaxolisa kakhulu. Umhlangano omnandi kakhulu lo. Siyabonga Chuma, uGolide. Siyabonga. Izakhamizi zakoBulawayo ngizithandela ukuthi ziyakhuluma besixoxa nje sithi mina thina with the worst ratepayers in the country. Ngoba ngabaphoxa, they will be in your office. Xa ule problem ungabatshela, they understand you. Ungaba le problem ungabatsheli, they will never work with you. Ngitsho njalo, and I think I'm proved right. Angizikuzama ukulandela konke bayithi ngoba ngathatha isikhathi eside kakhulu. Ngicela nje ukuchasisa kakhulu nge3% ngoba ise mlonyeni yabantu. By the way, yavela kini suggestion ye3%. Now, nxa likhumbula a few months ago besi commissioner swimming pool eMpophoma, le swimming pool eluve bangaka abakubonileyo. Angithi that was ilokhuza ye3%. Now i3% ke siyenza kanje. Sithi thina lina lasinika ukansila lathi ukansila ngowenu angithi. Sithi thina ukansila kabuyele ayixoxisana lani asitshele ukuthi lithe senzeni nge3% kuwadi yenu. That's what we've said. Then sacela ukuthi ukansila nxa esiza kithi esithi hayi sifuna ukwenza swimming pool. Sicela abuye lama minutes meeting leyo elayenza la elina abanikazi bakhe. Le ngizwa kuhle izihlobo zami. So ispeed ye3% ingakini khona ngapho. Labo eseba waqoma yama 3% abo siyawafanda sibhizi ngawo. Yikho siwa commissioner njengoba la kubona lapha yana. Ngiyaxolisa nxa lingakaqedi lina khona ngapho ngemakhaya kodwa ke yini elisibambileyo ukuthi silenzele ama projects. For instance Mpophoma isiqedile iswimming pool yayo ngithi khathesi sebefuna ukulungisa park yabo lena lemon park lana yayilezitimela kanje bafuna ukubisela khona yikho khona elali kwazi ifuna ukubisela khona kwiMpophoma kulindeleleni liza kubona nge3% yona leyo. So sengiqedile ngaleyo bese ngisiza ke uGolide ukhala ngeinformation eningi kuningi okhala ngakho Golide angizi ukubamba konke ngizaxoxisana lawe later. Ngicela ukuya ku3070. Now ngicela ukulibuza lokho. Nxa sithenga iambulance you are happy. Lithi senze kahle liyibone. Angithi. But nxa sesiholisa udriver wayo sesiholisa la lwana uhambe likhangele alisafuni selisithi that's another expense. So thina koBulawayo sithi kulezinye services ezingeza kenza zenzakale umuntu engekho phakathi. Ambulance, clinics, emanzini and so forth. Sile analysis yakhona. Sithi ke thina lezo zivele ziyi-service delivery. I hope sikhamba sonke. Therefore asifuni ukuthi zibe ku3070 leya. Ezimele zibe ku3070 leyana yilabo abangekhoyo sibisibili ku njengami. Angikho ku service department yami yonke ayikho ku service delivery as a support department. If you analyze our wages and salaries that way, they are within that 70, well within that 30-70. Then get good transparency, quality. This is the most transparent council you can think of. Every month I report kule report ku council ethiwa i finance and development committee report. Ile information ke leyo esingabe sifuna na lonke la livunyelwe ukubuya lizobona ama minutes awe council. Bese ngisiza la. Ukureporta ke ngento ze finance information engihlezi layo inengi. Kuyake ukuthi wena odingayo ufunani ngunike. It's impossible to give a financial report engasuthisa sonke la ngoba silama needs ehlukeneyo kuyo. Omunye ufuna ubona i3% kukhona kuyo. Omunye ufuna ubona i30% kunengi. Kathi ke singakwazi ukuthi lifunani sibili a report efuna ukukhuphani. We will give it to you nxa licela. Especially ke iBPRA lama residence organization zingu2 angithi. iBPRA leBura. Our offices are open. Lingasibiza nje kuba libisibizile khona la ayi asiyekele ukubuya. Kodwa ke kuhle ukuthi ke nxa ke lisibizileke licho ukuthi lifuna sibuye sile report efitizelani so that we can help each other. Angwazi okunye engakuletha kunenge bengulistile la. I think ungcono ngime khona la. Izimota zenu by the way, izimota zenu ezindala normally imota ka council yayihlale 5 years bese siyithengisa. Kodwa ke umomo wezulu yaselubona sesilazo eziningi ezindala kula lapho. Kodwa ke nxa sizikhupha sifake ezintsha siyaze tracker ezintsha. I-tracking iyasisiza ukuthi sazi ukuthi ubani wenzani ngemota ngaphi. Kodwa ke siyacela futhi njengabanikazi bazolina nxa imota liyisola ukuthi libona ngathi kayenzi kahle sitshele nini sikhangele silitshele ukuthi imota leyo yadingana. Ama pipes asemadala chum phansi la. Can I just say this ngakahlali phansi? Nxa ilizwe limi kahle uCouncil kumele athole izikwelede ezibhadala ngemva kweperiod engekho ngaphansi kwe10 years, 10 to 25 or even 30 years. Ngenxa yokuthi nxa sisenza ulutho olukhulu umkhuba we local authority uthi wona anti lapha siyi generation yini la sesaphila sonke la asingeke sakhe i-city hall for instance sithi thina siyibhadalele sonke la khona ngabantu wethu ngikhona kuzayikholisa lakho kumele kuyibhadalele anti yanzwisisa. It's called equity. So nxa sisenza izinto ezinkulu simele sithole imali ezalasta that long ukuze ithathe a few generations to pay for. Achi ukuthi ibhadalelwe yithi sodwa. Ama pipes asegugile khathesi uchuma khuluma ngawo sawenza nge loans esasizithola ku World Bank ngabo I think ngabo 87 somewhere around there. Ama loans lawo saswathole ke at very low cost 5% per annum. Kwakufuneke after so many years libuye lithole futhi enye loan futhi lithi renew ingoba into lezi ziyaguga phela phansi laphana asisawatholi lawo ma loan. I think that will help. Ngiyabonga.
Endimande baba siyabonga somshayela izandla. Maybe last words lapha kodwa not your last word like ususife emhlabeni. Yeah, just
I will begin by reacting to i-comment kababa Undimande particularly ukuthi iBulawayo City Council number 1. Bese ngiphoza i-comment ngithi phela ungaba number 1 ku special class. Uku class ama special cases and that does not translate to exceptionality. Being number 1 in a class of special cases is not exceptional enough. We acknowledge you are number 1, but we are saying that is not enough for the ratepayers of Bulawayo. Sengibuya ke kuma comments lawe ngwazwile. Kakhulu I think umbuzo obukhona ngikadadewethu osuka ku youth hub lapha. What can we do as citizens? Number 1, ngincedisa ubaba Undimande ngezikwelede zakhe. We need to be responsible citizens. Let's pay our debts as they fall due. Don't wait until usulesikwelede sama-1,000 something ukuthi usukazi kuyancenga Undimande. As they fall due asibhadaleni wenze that nxa complainer. Remember when you point a finger, 3 are pointing back at you. Wenze nxa sesiya kuye office akangasikhombeli la ngemino emithathu. We have a basis to argue our points. Number 2, we need to speak out en masse against corruption. Singesabi ukukhuluma. Inengi lethu sesaba ukukhuluma lichiye lo chuma kuthiwa uchuma zimpembe. Number 3, demand. It is our right as citizens of Zimbabwe to demand the return to transparency and accountability. Ubaba ubuzile lapha demand ukuthi kuyini esikufunayo. Thina sifuna ama comprehensive financial reports. Don't think ukuthi ama citizens lawa they're not financially savvy. You'll be shocked phakathi khona lapha kulama auditors amangaki. I'm one of those auditors too. Number 4, kithi njengama citizens we need to vote wisely, not according to political affiliation, but vote according to competence. Kwenzeka nxa sofika ema-chamberni ngale kuma-chambers, council chambers, we have got a sound representation and good policies will come out. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chuma. I think we have exhausted our speakers, and my program says that we supposed to have Florence, but I think most of the issues that Florence was supposed to talk about have been ventilated by Mr. Chuma. And Tafadzwa may come forward to try and get us to a soft landing spot in terms of what we have discussed, and try to zoom into the specific issues that we can take forward. Ubaba Uchuma spoke to a number of issues that we need to reflect on, and other speakers that spoke earlier on. And Tafadzwa, you may come forward and then take us through on ways how we can strengthen the public finance management system at local authorities level.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Facilitator, and all the speakers, including the people that responded. I just wanted to say, I think we've had a conversation that was flowing right from the beginning, but I just want to try to get specific information with regard to the key actions that you think should come out from this particular meeting. That is number 1. Then number 2, any issues that are specific with regard to how best we can strengthen public finance management systems within the context of devolution. Is it clear? Yeah. Those specific issues that you feel, you know, we have been talking about so many issues, putting things into perspective and so on and so forth. But I just want, from what we have learned, what are the key issues that you think as ZIMCODD we can say this is what came out of this particular meeting? So I would be happy to get responses from the cross-section of the room that includes women, councillors, residents associations, young people, women, and all the other groups. So what are your takes from this? Unfortunately, we don't have a roving mic, but I'm sure people can just speak from where they are, and I'm sure he can just turn his camera. If not, then, because I think it will take time for people to walk to the front to then make a contribution.
Laphe esesizama ukuthi sikwenze bakithi is to continue from ubhudu siqalele uDube uChuma sorry wasinika ukuthi sifuna ukuthi khona nxa sesiya phambili nxa idevolution lay isiformaliziwe ama structures akhona esekhona on the ground. How do we want to move on? Obaba on demand bekhona khonapha, omama bekhona khonapha ukuthi how do we want our ama local authorities to manage ama public finances ethu? How do we want ukuthi izinto ziyenzakale? Ngingaqala ngibale lapha ukhulumile ubhuti wathi we have to establish clear monitoring and control mechanisms to ensure that malpractices like corruption in the allocation of stands are discouraged. Are we taking that up? And what else can be done? Because this is managed la pelatin, auntie. As such, which yonke into is centralized. How are we going to be doing it? How do we want our finances? Ngi example nzami ukuthi sikhangela ukuthi thina isikhwama sethu silezi gamba ngithi bazali. Sithi sisithunga njani nxa sikhangela imali zethu as ratepayers. Ngono libuye ngapha ngoba angeke bekwanisa ukuthi belokhosi. Intamba ifiki, yeah. As a way forward, how do we consolidate to say? Because after this meeting, sizabhala thina i-position paper esizayihambisa local government, sizayihambisa njalo parliament, and it will be your inputs. So we would need to know, because i-Public Finance Management Act process yokuthi irepealwe. So in a devolved system, what do you want to see legal-wise, operational-wise?
Siyabonga. Mina umbono wami ukuthi let's first of all particularly sikhangela imithetho analyze ukuthi imithetho emayelana le Public Finance Management. I know there's Public Finance Management Act that exists. However, there are other acts that are in place that speaks to financial management, whether at local authority level, whether it's urban councils or rural district councils. So after we analyze, then we come up with policy and legislative proposals to say, okay, as ZIMCODD and others, this is what we are proposing. And I've said also in other platforms that devolution bill is not adequate to address the needs of a local authority. So let's analyze and then consolidate all laws and policies that speak into public financial management as well as financial management at local authority level. Thank you.
Into ekhulunywa ngubhuti ikhulunyiwe futhi izolo ukuthi kumele ukuthi sinanzelele ukuthi imithetho ekhona kathesi enye yangikhona iza clasha nxa sikhangela what is in the constitution as it is. Kukhangelelwa ukuthi ama roles of provincial councils lama roles ka minister okunye kwakhona bathi kuyahambelana. So kuzagcina sokusiba le challenge sokungazi ukuthi o reporter komunye mbani khona lokho. So these are the issues that brother Jerry is talking about, to say we have to look at our laws. Clash yini aphuma lento eyi1. Ubaba had something to say.
Mina bengithi asiqaleni nekhaya silungise uhlupho esilalo ekhaya la. Uchuma ukukhulume ngokubhadalwa kwezikweleti asiqaleni khona lapho. That's one. Two, every month ukansila wenu uyanikwa i-free use ye-facility ye-council to report back to you ukuthi kuxoxweni during the month council. But only less than a quarter of people come. Asikuyekeleleni khona kasihambeni emhlanganweni yonale kuze siyo demand the reports we want. Zibuye in the format that we want in our ward.
Thank you, Baba Ndimande. That's another issue that we have to look into. Do people have time to be meeting Emma halls? Ngapha abantu bezama ukuthi bathengise befita abantwana abantu abanengi abasebenzi. All of us are informal traders. What other ways of engagement can we look at? Sithanda akathesi khona apha sisema phone sikuma WhatsApp. Why can't we have online meetings or council? Yes. Yes. How many of you react? Yes.
All of them.
Yes.
But you don't fit in. Yes. Like for instance, in industry, the way SRCS cannot come back. Yes, SRCS, right? It's the technology. Our young people ready for that code.
Thank you very much. So, citizen participation. Councillors, residents, what sesibuya le ndlela ziphi to ensure everyone participates, because asikhulumeni iqiniso khathesi emalokitshini ngale balutshwana basezindlini. Wonke umuntu khathesi either ulapha etown uzama ukuthengisa, omunye usemsikeni ngapha omunye usegedini lakhe. So for you to say namhla kule meeting ka council asambeni siye attend, uzabiza ucancel meeting, but will people attend? People will not attend because of bread and butter what issues, but what other strategies are we putting to ensure citizen participation? And then there is another issue ekhulunyiweyo, indaba yama budget ekhulunywe ngubaba. The structure of budgeting. How do we want even the consultative process in a devolved system to be done? Because that's where public financial management starts. It starts from imali isibuile. Asikhulumi ngokuthi change ngaphi imali nxa inganjani ingekho. Sikhuluma ngechange lokuthi imali sidliwe, ma imali sibe njani isibe khona. How do we want to see the structure of budget consultation, the structure of budgeting in a devolved system? Because you are going to go into different meetings, you'll be asked to input into this. What are you looking at?
Perhaps the other issue that local authorities should engage themselves effectively and efficiently is the issue of innovation, looking beyond raising funds from the ratepayer. The macroeconomical constraints are incapacitating our ratepayers to an extent which iningi labo are now unemployed, hence the ballooning debts that are there. But as a local authority, what is it that you are doing to expand your revenue streams beyond the ratepayer? That is a critical point. Utilize the resources that you have so that those resources can generate additional revenue streams outside of the general process of milking the sickly and ailing cow that you have.
Innovation. Sizibona ngaphi ezinye imali. Mina ngiyake ngizwe baba Ndimanda ngazumbe uzangirespondela. Ngizwa bethi thini waste iyathengiswa kwamanye amazwe. Why are we not making money nge waste? Sike sezwa bakithi kuthiwa kulama donki asethengiswa. Iskini. Asiyenze njenge council ama donkey slaughter if it's legal to make money like he's saying. Njengo Bulawayo.
In a developed state, ngikhangele ukuthi municipal policy to be trained so that layo it can have arresting powers. Then nxa umuntu enze violation gembe wephula umthetho council bylaw, si establish Bulawayo community courts. Bese ngibotshwa ke ukuthi athi ke babondlovu uthengise endaweni engavunyelwayo. Sesekuchaya ifine kumbe i10 RTGS dollars or whatever it is, then the money goes to the council. Because okwamanje the situation is nxa abantu abaku informal trade bepanishiwe, ultimately impahla liyana is sold at drill hole and the council is losing out. Those are my recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mina mfuna ukukhuluma nge citizen participation. Ngibone ngani yilo uhlupho olukhona olukhulu kakhulu khathesi ukuthi most of the business of authorities is not being addressed, is not being attended to because we are not participating, we are not taking part. kukhulunywe kakhulu ukuthi uyathubiza umhlangano uthola abantu behleze emagedini nabo bethengisa besenza lokhu lalokhuyana. They don't want to attend ama meetings. Into engiyinanzelela kakhulu ukuthi abantu kabasafuni ukuthi bahambe lapha bangatholi khona ibenefit. So how then do we break that? How then do we reach out to them? Because i-message esilayo njengama authorities iqhakathekile kakhulu kumele izwe ngabantu bonke. We have got so many forums ezikhona kuma communities lapha esihlala khona. There are some groups of ISALs, there are burial societies, even churches. I want to tell you where I am coming from. My honorable member of parliament is attending church services. Given this lot to address the congregants, he addresses issues pertaining to development, pertaining to building of the constituents. So there is no way we can reach out to the people by calling them to meet to our meetings. I think in a devolved state, we need ourselves as representatives to go down to those small groups, deliver the message of authorities, councils, strategies of revenue collection, and conscientizing them to pay our rates. Because as long as they do not pay, there is no development that will come by Kuma authorities. And also, I want to borrow the 3% which Bulawayo City Council is using. I didn't get the full details, but I presume it's the remittance of what has been collected. Ukuthi bakubone ba realize ukuthi khona nam what we are paying is coming back to us in terms of projects and the like. So, let's reach out to the people. Kuma small groupings wona lawana akona, because people definitely they are not going to come to us. Thank you very much.
Nyabonga kakhulu. I want to also talk to issue yokuthi khona abantu kabalandwe lapha bakhona. In a devolved state mina, ukansela wami in demand, especially I'll give an example ezindaweni ezingathi zikhatshana emakhaya. Ukansela iradius yakhe. Omunye ukansela ule radius ye 200 kilometers. Akala basikili, akala motor, akala in a devolved state. I want to see a councillor okwanisa ukuthi reach out to the people. There should be resources. Nga ukansila engena esikhundleni akube la resources for the councillor to be able ukuthi azihambele eyabona i-development leleko development in the communities. Manenga ama communities, especially in the rural areas, abangazaziyo indawo that they are governing. If there is a need for us maybe to create other structures, but my suggestion is ukansila should have a car. Ukuthi ayebona ukuthi ngalo umgwaqo ngoba ngo development umgwaqo ulungisiwe yini ibridge elifileyo kuhambe njani, because we have taken these people saba yenza uyabona ukuthi councillor egade inqola to get to a place. We have reduced them. These people are leaders. So in a devolved state, I want to see a budget that equips ukansila ukuthi akwanise ukwenza ini umsebenzi wakhe, anti stay ngena ku service delivery. Yes.
Thank you. I think, what we would like to see as Nango in a devolved state budget is a recognition of the importance of research. I'm thinking what we need to start seeing our budgets either at local authority or at national government with allocations towards research. Recently, we had an engagement with the Minister of Finance and we're talking about TSP And one of the provisions at TSP is that we are freezing government recruitment. But for the past 10, 15 years, if I'm not mistaken, government recruitment has always been frozen. Owehlula ukuthi isebenze iminyaka yonke le edlulileyo kuyini? Kuyini njalo kuzakwenza ukuthi i-freeze of recruitment isebenze ngoba sikhulunywa ngumthuli kuyini? So we need research to inform ama-issues, ama-policies, ama-decisions esiwayenzayo. Otherwise sabe sihlala sikhuluma si-regurgitate ama-decisions and ama-strategies angasebenzanga kudala, angasoke sebenze lamuhla, angasoke asebenzela kusasa futhi. Ngiyabonga.
Ukhona inomunye oseleyo? Yes. 4.
Ngiyabonga ithuba liphiwayo. Mina engakutsho ukuthi sizabokhe sikhuluma sisole lapha singazikhangeli thina. Ake sizikhangeleni lathi sizihlole as the citizen or ama resident. Ke sikhohlwe ngamabhachi esiwagqokayo ama political parties la ama organization. Ngibona ngani yiwo asibulalayo ukuze senze singahlanganeli. Asiwalahleni sithi nxa sizumhlangano, we pass the message and encourage other people ukuthi sibeni khona emhlanganweni. Ngoba engubonayo kusenzakala nxa ungena ezigabeni ukansela ngabiza umhlangano, you find omunye umuntu ethi ayikasowe party yami. Those things zibulala isigaba ngoba i-development is not for a political party, but it is development nge community. So asisukumeni sonkeni singama ratepayers senzeni umlando wethu ukuthi we go to those meetings ukwenzela ukuthi laba ababuya bethwela abakuthweleyo bangasenzela ama decision aphume kithi ngoba abantu abangu5 nxa sebefike baba khona emhlanganweni already bazayenza i-decision efunakalayo. And sizabokhe sikhalo ke sithi izinto zabobani like njengako Bulawayo sizathi izinto zabo demand ngale phezulu. Where were we on demand bebuya lakho ukuzokufaka kithi? So from now ngithi let's change our mindset as ama resident or ama ratepayers and we work together kikho konke okwenzakalayo. Ngiyabonga.
Sithintshigiya laba kudlalwa la.
Okay. Director from City Council ubekhulumile like if you want a financial statement you can go a City Council, but not every resident. Imagine uBulawayo yonke going a City Council asking for those records. But you can make an effort like budget consultations, they are done annually. I don't know if you have a process of mid-term, but you haven't seen it happening. Would love to see mid-term budget consultations for that tracking. Because after a year, if we are so community, this and this happened to the monies, it's hard for the resident to track because the City Council is a big organization. So if you have mid-term budget consultations, it would really go a long way. And also before doing budget, sometimes into the finance, they are mired with each jargon. There is need for you to educate residents on budget processes so that they know what if and the staff. If maybe you don't have the capacity, you can engage with other organizations to be able to capacitate residents on that. Thank you.
Siyabonga.
Lichonile. Mina ngizakhulumela ku-informal sector. Sile slogan sethu esithi nothing for us without us. Siyacela iCity Council ukuthi ilezinto ezinjengama budget and whatever, we should be involved and we should participate njengama informal sectors. Okwenza ukuthi sikwazi ukuthi uqalisela nga. Mina ngangibe lo hlupho nxa sibiziwe ku budget. Sahle siphiwa ama figures. iCity Council yethu la isisenza njenge iharari ukuthi labo chief whip sesiwipha lapha nasihle sitshelwa what to do. Even la khona lokho please consider izinto zethu esabe siqale ngazo ukuzikhuluma like thina ku informal sector siyacela kakhulu ukuthi divovanini let's start home. Thina sibhadala ama license okuthengisela kakuqalise kuma home locuzeni ama local tokwini Ama-community halls ethu esibhadala khona, sibhadale khona ngale than coming there, siyathatha i-risk card, ngiyabonga.
Siyabonga.
Thank you. Ditshona njani? Mina nza khuluma ngikhangelele kuma rural areas. Ku devolved state sikhangelele ukuthi i-government should actually give an enabling environment ukuthi sikwanise ukuthi sisebenzise ama-natural resources ethu ukuthi abe yiwo a-sustainer abantu bakuleyo ndawo. Ngikhangele ukuthi for example mangikhangele iMartin North lapho engivela khona silama natural resources amaningi, but yet we are said to be the poorest. Okwenzakalayo ukuthi ama resources analawo we are not able to tap them because asila capacity naleyo. Although sinikwe i-5%, sizanikwa i-5% leyi, ubuningi bayo iza kuma services and still ama resources dana asoze abe tapped. So we are asking for maybe further funding to turn those raw materials we have into finished goods so that they can be of profit to the local residents. Ngiyabonga.
Siyabonga. Ubaba uNdimande ube ufuna ukuphosa ilizwi. I think kulonye kumthintile abantu be recommenda lapha. In 1 minute.
Yes, ngiseka nge-payment methods. Belikhala ngokuminyana kuma-revenue halls. Vele sesifuna ukuwadiliza ama-revenue hall. Sizibhadale sihlezi nje ezindlini without ever coming there. Yikho esikulwisayo ukuthi sibhadale ngabo eco cash bona laba ngale ekusiphuzisayo ukuthi anti yakwazi ukuthi sesibhadala ngabo eco cash and so forth. Uyathola kwesinye isikhathi i-network iwile. Ucabanga ukuthi the system is slow, kanti vele i-network ayisekho eyokube sibhadala sisalinde yona. Those are the issues we are grappling with.